This happened to me 3 years ago when I was living in Bakersfield, California. I still get weird feelings when I drive past cornfields now. My name is Darius, and I was working at this small farm outside the city. The owner, Mr. Patterson, hired me to help with the harvest season. The pay was decent, and I needed the money for college. The farm had these huge cornfields that stretched for miles. Walking through them felt like being in a maze sometimes. There was this old scarecrow right in the middle of the biggest field. It had been there for years, according to Patterson. The thing looked pretty normal at first. Old flannel shirt, worn jeans, straw hat. But something about its face always bothered me. The burlap sack had these stitched eyes that seemed too realistic, and the mouth was this crooked line that looked almost like a smirk. I usually avoided that section of the field. Not because I was scared or anything. I just had other areas to work on. My dog Buster would come with me sometimes, and he never liked going near that scarecrow either. He would whine and pull on his leash whenever we got close. The weird stuff started happening in my second week there. I was working late one evening because Patterson wanted to get ahead of the weather. The sun was setting, and the corn was making those rustling sounds in the wind. Normal farm stuff. But then I heard something else, like fabric flapping. I looked toward the scarecrow, and I swear its shirt was moving different from the wind. The sleeves were kind of swaying back and forth, but there wasn't much breeze that day. I shrugged it off and kept working. Probably just my imagination. The next day, Patterson mentioned something strange. He said the scarecrow had somehow moved about 10 feet from its usual spot. He figured maybe the wooden post had gotten loose in the ground. We went out there, and sure enough, it was in a different place. The old hole was still visible where it used to stand. That gave me chills, but we reset it and packed the dirt tight. Patterson joked that maybe the crows were getting revenge. We both laughed, but something felt wrong about the whole situation. Things got weirder after that. Every few days, the scarecrow would be facing a different direction. Sometimes toward the road, sometimes toward the farmhouse. Once, it was turned completely backward, like it was looking at the fields behind it. Patterson was getting frustrated and started using metal stakes to keep it in place. I started bringing my lunch to eat in my truck instead of near the fields. Call me paranoid, but I didn't want to sit out there anymore. The scarecrow was always in my line of sight no matter where I worked. Those stitched eyes seemed to follow me around. One Thursday morning, I arrived at the farm and saw something that made me stop dead. The scarecrow was gone. Just gone. The metal stakes were still in the ground, but the whole thing had vanished. Patterson was already out there scratching his head. "Damn thing probably fell apart," he said. "I'll have to make a new one." But we looked all around that area and couldn't find any pieces. No straw, no clothes, nothing. It was like it had just disappeared into thin air. That afternoon, I was working near the edge of the field when I saw movement in my peripheral vision. I turned and nearly dropped my tools. There was the scarecrow, standing at the far end of a corn row. Just standing there like nothing had happened. But here's the thing that really fucked me up. It wasn't on a post anymore. It was just standing on its own somehow. The legs looked different too. Less stiff. More natural. I called out to Patterson, but he was too far away to hear me. When I looked back, the scarecrow was gone again. I ran over to where I saw it, but there was nothing there. Just corn stalks and dirt. I finished up early that day and told Patterson I wasn't feeling well. He seemed concerned and said I looked pale. I went home and tried to forget about it, but I kept thinking about how the Scarecrow had been standing. The next morning, I quit. I made up some excuse about school starting early. Patterson was disappointed, but he paid me what he owed and wished me luck. I drove past the farm a few weeks later and saw Patterson had put up a new Scarecrow. This one was different though. Smaller, more normal looking. But as I was driving by, I could have sworn I saw the old one standing at the edge of the field, watching the road. I took a different route home after that. Sometimes I still wonder what happened to that thing, and whether it's still out there somewhere, standing in those cornfields, waiting for the next person to notice it moving. I never told anyone this story until now. Most people would think I was crazy, but I know what I saw out there in Bakersfield, and I'm never working on a farm again.